Evening Cherries fans, and welcome to the latest show here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Before I welcome on my guest, here's a little bit about our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. To find out what they can do for you, visit dentalonthebanks.co.uk. Now, after our pick up in form, following that 3-2 victory and that comeback in the second half against Nottingham Forest, we travelled to St James's Park. It's a bit of a reunion, really, isn't it? With, let's call him Sir Eddie. There's no other name you could give him. Of course, Newcastle do have new owners. They've got lots of money to spend. I predicted them to finish third. Everybody thought I was mad, but they have got that man at the helm. And it is a pleasure to welcome on from John Sinclair TV, John Sinclair. Evening, John. How are you, mate?
Good to have us on, Diego. I'm absolutely fine. How's things with you, mate? I hope you're having a good day, and thanks for having us on, mate.
Yep, all good, mate, all good. And of course, things have picked up since that 9-0 defeat against Liverpool. So, of course, Newcastle, and it is the first game that Eddie will be managing in the Premier League against his former club. It's quite exciting, really, to actually be able to go to Newcastle and, face off against our previous manager. But of course, there is other players who play for Newcastle who were in the Bournemouth ranks. So, shall we start with Matt Ritchie? And Matt Ritchie, of course, he's about 33, isn't he now, if I'm right in thinking?
Yeah, I think he's 33, and in his coming to his mid-30s as well. Yeah, and he's still at the club. And listen, obviously Eddie still likes him, but for me personally, I think he should have moved on in the summer.
Fair enough. And to be honest, there was rumours that we were going to be in for him, and it would have been a signing that I would have with open arms. But of course, Scott Parker went with Marcus Tavernier instead from Middlesbrough, and he's done quite a good job. Let's go on to Callum Wilson next. And of course, Callum Wilson, fantastic striker for us. And he's had quite an impact up in Newcastle, apart from the injuries, hasn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, look, if he hadn't had those injuries, he would have got 20 plus goals a season. This is third season now. And I love this guy. I mean, he works hard for the team. He has a lot. Everyone's happy with this guy. And look, what are you going to get in Callum Wilson, right? You're going to get movement and you're going to get pace and you're going to get goals from him at the right place if he gets the service right. But his injuries, Craig's just left him down quite a lot. We had him out for 4 months last season, which we could have done with between that time. If he had done, me personally, I think we got very close to Europe. But this season, he's already out, and we're missing him. And this is why we bought Isak from our Sociedad for a record fee of 63 million quid. We needed a striker in because we've all said anytime he gets injured, right, after a period of time, this guy is just going to get injured. He could be out for months, and we cannot afford to go in this season into matches with Chris Wood up top. He ain't the answer. We know that, yeah. That's why we brought Isak for the record, so like I said, and at the minute he's doing well. Apart from that miss the last game.
And of course, we can't forget somebody who isn't thought so fondly of at this club, but he did a lot for the football club, which a lot of people call him the snake after the COVID period. But of course, Ryan Fraser. What do you make of, we'll call him Wee Man, because that's what we affectionately knew him as when he was at the club.
Yeah, man. Listen, I mean, I like Ryan Fraser, but this is his third season now at the club, and he needs to fix up real quick. The last game he played, he had no end product. I didn't think he had a good game at all whatsoever. But look, at the end of the day, right, I mean, it's going to be a big season for Ryan Fraser because he kind of know this is his last chance this season. If he doesn't fix up, then I think he could be moved on for me. But I rate this guy. I mean, he works hard, he scores goals, he creates chances. I like him on the left-hand side, like him on the right-hand side. But at the end of the day, I mean, for me, at times he tries too hard a wee bit. But at the end of the day, I like him. But he has got to show us the real Ryan Fraser. And that means no more injuries. He has got to fix up. Because if he doesn't, he could be replaced. And it's a shame because he could do more. He could do a lot more at the club.
Of course, so far this season, you have only lost the one game, which was against Liverpool, of all teams. But you've only won one as well. Is that disappointing? Because the way I looked at Newcastle, and I said it to you in our previous show, I said it in front of Harry Redknapp as well. I said, I think Newcastle will finish third. Maybe that was overdoing it a little bit, but that was the faith that I had in Eddie Howe and what he's done at Bournemouth. But he's got more money at Newcastle. That's what I based it on. Are you disappointed so far just to have the one win on the board, or are you thinking, well, look, we're not getting beat? Because of course, last season you had, was it 1 point or something silly, wasn't
First 4 games, 1 point for the first 4 games, and that's against Southampton. And it was just a shocking start for Newcastle under Steve Bruce. But we're doing slightly better this season, yeah. But you got about just a one win, right? I mean, we've drawn too many games, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, right, I think we need a right side midfielder. Can make a difference. We can do another midfielder. We need to get Bruno fit first and ASM to come back in the team as well. But at the end of the day, we're playing cracking stuff. We are playing cracking football under Eddie Howe. After the pass and move game suits us to the ground. But for me, I mean, we could have lost against Brighton. They had the shooting boots on. We should have beat Wolves, by the way, but a penalty wasn't a penalty. We should have got at least a point against Liverpool. That goal, by the way, from Isak wasn't even offside at all whatsoever. That's just onside in my book. And I think, where did the ref found 8 minutes from? Where did they find it from? I have no idea. People say it's for time wasting. But did Jordan Henderson time wasted as well in the second half when he tried to get off the pitch? No, Scott said about that.
No, very, very true. And, of course, Eddie is, a legend at this football club. I'm sure the Bournemouth faithful are going to give him, the biggest reception going. But are Newcastle fans happy with this start? Or do they feel that you should be doing a little better so far?
Look, I mean, we see the football's being played by Eddie. I mean, we got to give the man time. He's just on a new long-term contract, by the way. I've got every faith in Eddie, yeah? But for me personally, right, I think we need to be patient as fans. And us Newcastle fans got every belief in Eddie Howe, and he's trying to do what he's trying can. But we can do more, right? And that's the ASM, be consistent, yeah? I like to see Ryan Fraser be consistent if he does play. This is the thing. But we're playing well. We just cannot score goals. That is the thing. Missing a lot of chances again, and that is frustrating. But for me, I'm happy. If we get a win on Saturday, we could be back on track. Because at the end of the day, we've got some winnable games. And we've got Ula, Fulham at away, Brentford at home. That's going to be a tough game, but I think we can come through that. And we just got to score more goals and win games. That's all we got to do. It's as simple as that. But once we click, we're just going to get someone hammering. We really are. If Bruno's on fire, then the team's on fire. So ASM has their own part in this game and just be more of a team player. Getting us assists in will be fine, absolutely fine. But Isak is the one I love to see because I think he can do it this season. I really, really do. My message to Isak is don't dare message it. Just put it in places for it.
Yeah, and of course you did sign, and we were speaking about this in quite some detail. I know you did quite a lot of shows about Sven Botman as well. What sort of impact has he had?
This guy, right? Listen, I mean, I've seen enough of him. I think this guy's brilliant. I really rate Sven Botman. I really do. Because I was going to go to East Milan once upon a time, but they couldn't get a takeover on time. So he chose us for the project. I think everyone knows that, by the way. And I'm amazed other clubs hasn't been in for him at all whatsoever. I am amazed. He would have been perfect for a club like Bayern Munich. But he's that good. He could play for a top 4 club. I think he played at the top 3 clubs in world football. What I like about him, he brings the ball out from the back. He doesn't get threat. He doesn't get pressured. His tackle is immaculate, yeah? And he just doesn't dive in. He reads the game like a book. I wouldn't say he's the quickest, but at the end of the day, Sven Botman could be our future captain, and he could play for Newcastle for the next 5 or 6 years. But one thing I'm going to say, he's better than Virgil van Dijk this season.
Yeah, most definitely. And of course, Kieran Trippier, you've got on the books there at Newcastle. England international, you know, quality player, went to Atletico Madrid after playing for Spurs. What's he done so far for Newcastle? And, you know, is that a signing that you feel that Eddie made just to stabilise the ship, but also move things forwards? Because he seems to have done really, really well there.
Craig, I mean, the guy brings leadership to the team, leader to the team. Like I said, captaincy standard as well. He's a talker as well. He tells players where to go, where to be. And we need a player like him. So experienced, vast experience. 31-year-old, right? England international. He's a champion at Atletico Madrid. Let's get that right. Yeah, he is a champion. He has won things there. But, I mean, look, he should be our captain, not like Jamal Lascelles, because I like Valens. Free kicks is fantastic. I like some bomb forward as well. He can tackle as well. But he did get done against Brighton later on, which could have cost us a goal. But, hey, he is a perfect right back, a fantastic right back. And long may it continue.
Yep, definitely. And one player that we did mention back when we last spoke was Joe Linton. And Joe Linton under Steve Bruce, it is fair to say he was completely, utterly lost, wasn't he? But Eddie has revitalised him. He's a completely different man to the one that, you know, was playing under Bruce.
100%. I mean, look, when he played in central midfield alongside Bruno, I think this guy, box to box, one of the best box to box players in the country now. He's gone from a 40 million flop to, one of the best box to box midfield in the country. And he tackles well. My only concern about Joe Linton is he tackles well, but sometimes he gives the ball away. But at the end of the day, his work rate is absolutely brilliant. And I'm a massive fan of Joe Linton now. And 2 cents. Sorry about that. And I think this guy is brilliant. I mean, people are saying that should he be playing for the national team. For me personally, I don't think he'll get in. He will not get in because there's 7 or 8 better players in front of him. Yeah. And the style of football that Tete plays might not suit Joe Linton. But they've already got world-class players there. You got Bruno, he's a starter. Paquetá is a starter. Casemiro's a starter. Ribeiro's a starter as well. And you've got Ferg as well. So you've got 5 midfielders there. in front of Joe Linton. But maybe the Copa America next season or whatever it may be, he may get a shot for that. But if Joe Linton does what he does best for Newcastle, just do his best for Newcastle, keep winning balls midfield, I think there's no reason why he could be in the national team after the World Cup. He's 25, and I think I enjoy watching him play. I just think he's vastly improved every game.
And one player that you did bring in was Nick Pope as well. And when Nick Pope come in as goalkeeper, there was some question marks around that, wasn't there, when Eddie brought him in? But what do you make of him so far?
I think he's an 8 out of 10 for me this season. He's made saves after saves after saves. He's made some great saves for us this season. I mean, the goals will be down to him, but he made 2 great saves against Palace the last game. And he's just a fantastic keeper. He really, really is. He brings the ball out from the back. His distribution's fantastic. And unlike the Barca, he's a forward-thinking goalkeeper. I'm a massive fan of Nick Pope. And I'm glad we signed him because Eddie Howe needed a keeper, yeah. No disrespect to Martin Barca, which I do love, and I wish him all the best at United. But he needed another goalkeeper that's going to distribute more. It's like kicking as well, and there's throwing and that. Barca's last season was a letdown for me. His distribution wasn't the greatest. Great shot stopper, but I think Nick Pope was a great all-rounder. He'll be going to England for the World Cup this year.
And of course, you have got in the ranks a lot of Cherries former coaches as well, and also Jason Tyndall, who was also manager when Eddie did leave. What have they been like? You know, have the fans seen, you know, what they've brought to the club as well?
Yeah, Jason Tyndall, I think, is cracking system manager. He really is. He's a leader, right? And we all know he's close to Eddie all the time, which I think is great. Yeah. And look, he tells where to go as well. And they talk to each other as well during the match as well, unlike Steve Bruce has done. But look, I think you got a perfect manager there. You got a perfect number 2. I think the coaches improved the players as well by playing decent game of football. Simple as that. That's what we want to see. But I've got every faith in Eddie and his team as well. Great team, and it's just buying into the project, and that's what's all about.
There was quite a lot of criticism when, of course, the new owners took over at Newcastle. And the thing is it's happened throughout the years. And, you know, I didn't see anything wrong with it because it's happened throughout the years where new owners have come in and spent massive amounts of money. But the Saudi consortium do seem like they are doing things the right way. They're not throwing money at it. They're not, you know, trying to break FFP. They are doing it as a project. And I think, would you agree that Eddie Howe is the perfect manager rather than, say, for example, somebody like Rafa Benitez, who, you know, is arguably a good manager, but at the same time, is he probably wants things done a lot quicker, whereas Eddie can see molding that into what he did with us.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know that we've got the richest owners in the world. Not the richest club in the world, but the richest owners in the world, yeah? People need to accept that, need to realise that quickly. But I think they're not going to get ripped off. They only pay what a player's worth. We see players worth like James Maddison, rated 60 million quid. We're not paying that. No way. But these football clubs now, in my opinion, don't want to do business with Newcastle United because of what's happened to Saudis and that, because they see us as a threat in future seasons, yeah? I mean, Leicester don't really want to sell us to James Maddison to Newcastle United. I've also heard Ainsley Maitland-Niles wanted to come to Newcastle. He's made that clear. But also saying, no, you're not going to Newcastle, you're going to Southampton, pal, yeah? We're controlling you, right? Because they don't want to do business in Newcastle United because they see us as a threat for future years. But I think the Saudis are doing it absolutely right. They're not lavishing money, but we have to pay it over the odds for Isak because Callum Wilson's out injured, yeah? Which I've said one day they may have to do that. They may have to do it, and that's exactly what they've done. It's simple as that, yeah. But João Pedro was rated what, 30 million quid? Watford wanted 30 million quid offers for Pedro, yeah. Is he worth 30 million? Probably not yet. But we just said, no, you know what? We'd go somewhere else. We just get a better quality striker. And that's why we got Isak for that sort of money. But Newcastle will spend in January. Fans need to be patient. But I've got a sneaking feeling there's going to be two players going to come through. And that's Andrea Santos from Vasco da Gama and James Anderson. Also, Goran Cool, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Garanco.
And yeah, it looks like he's gonna come to us in January as well. I'm not ITK, but I could safely say that Madison and Andrea Santos from Vasco da Gama could be coming to Newcastle in January. We get one of them. We're gonna get one of them.
And of course, let's mention Garanco because he's coming over from Australia, from Central Coast Mariners. We were speaking about him a little bit beforehand. And the one thing that strikes me about that signing, and from what you've told me and, what I've actually just seen as well, is he is an Eddie type signing. So are Newcastle fans excited by that sort of signing? That we had Danjuma. He's picked him out from nowhere. He picked out players who were playing for Woking, Hereford, throughout the years. Are Newcastle fans excited about that sort of signing, or do they just want the big names?
Look, it's a bit of both, really, because I do trust these people, what they're trying to do, yeah. But me personally, I like to see people going to come in from the now, but at the same time, we also need to beef up the subs bench as well, because the subs bench is not good enough, yeah. For the likes of Sean Longstaff, I'm sorry to say, Jacob Murphy's not good enough, yeah. Elliot Anderson, yes, I take him. I put him in the first team, 110%. But you've got Ritchie, I'm afraid he needs to be sold on. We need to beef up the subs bench because they are not clearly good enough for Newcastle United. Either their legs have gone or they're just not Premiership players at all whatsoever. But I've got Effie Faith in this guy, and this is Dan Ashworth's checking him out as well, by the way. He's just received a shot call up to the national team ahead of the World Cup, so he'll be in the national team as well. And look, at the end of the day, I mean, he's going to stay in the A-League until January before joining Newcastle, where he will then be loaned out. So we're going to get the guy, and he'll be loaned out straight away. And I think that's the way to go, because I think this guy is going to be. I don't know a lot of him, by the way. I don't watch Australian. I don't watch the Australian football at all whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to tell lies and say that he's going to be a world-class player, known for well. It hasn't turned out well. But we bought an Australian defender called Curtis Good around 10 years ago, right? Actually bought him because of it's just an exposure for sports directs in Australia, sort of for the market out there. That guy is absolutely useless. He really, really is. Hardly played for Bradford on loan, and he was useless there. So 6 years we had from this guy, 6 years. Mm-hmm. And he should have got, I would have just turfed them out. But personally, at the end of the day, they know exactly what they're doing. Me personally, I like to see a mixture of great players and also one of the best young players in Europe. I mean, that guy, Gabi, is it Gabi for Barcelona? Gavi. I would love to have Gavi. I'd love to have Gavi, but I ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
Well, you never know with Barcelona's issues and Newcastle's money. I think it could happen, couldn't it? But
he's got a billion release clause in his contract, billion. So good luck with that. He won't also sign him.
Yeah. But it is an Eddie type signing, and
he is.
What is so good about the man is he will bring in these players from nowhere, and he's got such a wide knowledge of football. Like signing somebody from Vasco da Gama, Now, to be honest, I don't watch much of the Brazilian league. I know they're in the Brazilian league,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he can see that vision of what they're going to be like. And to be fair, some fans here say, okay, he bought in Jordan Ibe. He doesn't always get it right. Wana Turbe, again, didn't really get that right. But you look at his track record, and 9 times out of 10, he probably would get it right. And so far, out of all the signings that Eddie Howe has made, is there any that you're unhappy with?
Not at all. No, not at all. I mean, just Chris Wood, by the way. I'm not going to lie. I just don't think he's good enough for Newcastle. Excuse me. I mean, you throw what, 25 million quid for this guy? I mean, Burnley must have laughed. The people say that we stopped Burnley and upset Burnley. We broke an rival at the time. But 25 million quid for this guy, for me, not good enough. So he's the only player I'm happy with. But the best signing from Eddie from January up until now, for me, it's Bruno Gamache. That guy is an absolute Rolls Royce. This guy will probably end up playing for Real Madrid one day. And I hope it's not the case. But he wants to be a legend Newcastle first and then see what happens after that. But we need to get into Europe this season. Otherwise, it's going to be so difficult hanging on to him. Hope I'm wrong, but that guy's been...
After we've come off 2 decent games, so of course we drew against Wolves and we beat Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, circumstances happened that we couldn't play Brighton last weekend. God bless Her Majesty, but of course we're not in bad form after that 9-0 defeat. What do you make of Bournemouth? And do you firstly think Scott Parker, will we right to sack him? And secondly, Gary O'Neill, should he get the job?
First of all, Scott Parker. Look, at the end of the day, right? I mean, they weren't going to sack him because of the performance on the pitch. But what have we heard? I think he took a sly dig at the board. Yeah, he said he's not being backed properly and this and that and t'other, yeah. And they had backed him in January, right? Got some top players coming through, and basically they had to get used up. Simple as that. But I think after being back, you can't go around saying that on TV and have a go at your board because you're asking for trouble there. Do you know what I mean? I can understand some frustrations. I get it. But also fans need to hear things as well like that. They can make a decision. But for me, I think Scott Parker, was it the right decision to sack him? Based on what he said about the board, I have to say yes, unfortunately. And also the style of football under him has not been great. It's just slow and unimaginable as well. Do you know what I mean? He plays 3 at the back, 5 at the back, yeah? He's just not giving it a right go for what I've seen from Bournemouth. Yes, you beat Villa, great result. But at the end of the day, I mean, on to Gavin O'Neill. Why not? He's doing Larry. He's split to 4 points in 2 games.
Yep.
Why not? I mean, if he's young enough, he's a young manager, it's good enough. And Sean Dyche is available, by the way, if you want him, but is he going to come to Bournemouth? That is the thing.
Do you know what some people have said about Sean Dyche? And I think he probably goes against what we're about, because he is a long ball merchant, hit the big man up the top. We have got a big man. We have got Kiefer Moore. So I think to an extent it could work. But do we want to do that when we can play out so well, and Gary Eddie left behind because football under Eddie was very, very good. And as you say, it's exciting to watch, as you found out as well. And I think by going back to that, rather than the Scott Parker way of Parker ball, suits this team. When Eddie went on to a bit more of an attacking mindset at Newcastle, did you think it was going to work initially, or did you think, well?
But when Eddie took over Newcastle, I thought people were saying like, oh, expected a bigger name manager sort of thing. at the time for Eddie Howe. People got to realise, Newcastle fans, is no world-class manager going to come to Newcastle yet because of where we are. We were second bottom in the league, yeah, and no world-class manager is going to come. I wanted Diego Simeone, but he ain't going to leave Atletico Madrid to come to Newcastle. There's absolutely no way. But at the end of the day, Eddie Howe is a bright, young English manager. He took his break when he left Bournemouth. He could have gone to Celtic. He said no. Ordered a year out, comes back refreshed, and he is making a difference. Making a difference in Newcastle United, and everyone loves him here. And that's why he's under a long-term contract. And I just hope that England don't come call for him. We had a poor World Cup under Southgate, and he gets sacked. I've got a funny feeling that Eddie Howe's name is going to be mentioned. And as Potter is going to Chelsea, I'm going to be very, very worried. I hope they keep Southgate.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie does get offered the England job at some point.
Do you think he'd take it, though? Do you think he'd take it?
I think he probably would. If it's a project. I think if it's a project, if we have a poor World Cup, I think what he'll think is, right, okay, I've got 4 years to get this team into a position where we can win the 2026 World Cup I think it's in the US, Canada and Mexico, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the thing, man. But it's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. And I'm very worried. I'm very, very worried. And if there's the day it's going to come, it's going to be linked. I wish I knew all the best. But we have to get in a world-class manager to take him on, because there's not many people out there. Not many people. But the position they're in now,
yeah,
we're in a better position, yeah, but someone's going to come in and plays open attacking football, yeah. Diego Simeone is an exception because, yeah, he doesn't do it. He's an exception because he wins things, yeah. But it has to be someone who's going to be better than Eddie Howe. It's going to be a world-class project, a world-class manager is going to come in, make that difference. So Diego Simeone first, then Mancini. But Eddie Howe, I love him. And I hope he stays for a long, long time.
Yeah, definitely. And, hopefully, fingers crossed for you guys. It would make sense, and I'm sure he's invested into the project. But how often do the England managers' jobs come around? That's the only thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the thing. But it's going to be a morning up in Newcastle, and everyone's going to say great. Everyone's going to say Eddie Howe, not just our fans. I mean, people in London's going to say the same thing. Get Eddie in, because for me, I think he's one of the best young English managers in the country. There's not many left. I tell you what, they can have Steve Cooper.
Yeah, there we go. Steve Cooper. We don't care about Nottingham Forest here, so don't worry.
No, what do you want?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it is prediction time. But one thing that I was speaking to Matt about was Eddie is going to be determined to beat Bournemouth. He's not going to want to lose this game under any circumstances, however much he loves the club, is he?
No, definitely not, because he wants to go there and win this game, because you need to get back on track. We really do. We've only won once this season. That's against Forest at the beginning of the season. I think the players will be up for it on Saturday, whoever he picks. I hope Bruno comes back, ASM comes back. I can't see Wilson come back in, though. Isak will start, I'm sure. And Miguel Almiron's playing canny well. I think he's playing really well this season, to be fair. Not getting the breaks at all whatsoever. And, Bournemouth's got a pretty good record against us, by the way. They beat us 1-0, and you beat us 3-1 before, and you got Steve McClaren the sack, by the way. Let's be real. And he scored a 95th minute goal against us under Rafa Benitez when you dominated us, by the way. You absolutely dominated us in that game. And other than that, I mean, we beat you 2-1 when Ake got one of the goals. But we got a pretty good record at Vitality as well. We were 2 up against you last minute. We were 2 goals up, tossed up ways 2s each. The last time we played you, it was 4-1.
Yeah, definitely. That was the COVID period, wasn't it, as well, game? Yeah, I remember that. And, it was very
Not good.
stressful. No, it
Really.
wasn't good at all.
Not
I think we've got to make our predictions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about how this game's going to go because, of course, Eddie does love this football club, but I think there is going to be the determination that he's going to be like, I do not want to get beat by them because I'll never be able to live it down. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I've got down to 3-0 Newcastle win. I mean, you get back on track. Yes, Bournemouth got a confident boost against Forest, had a good point at home to Wolves, and I'm sure Bournemouth's going to make it difficult for us as well. I'm sure you're going to make us work, but I think we've got the quality. ASM has been absolutely outstanding this season for us. Yeah, that goal against Wolves was absolutely amazing. But I hope that he comes in and make a difference for us. Isak, I mean, I'm sure he get a couple of goals for us this season. I hope he does. And our defence, the back four is outstanding. Trippier, Botman, Fabian Scher, and Target left back as well. Dan Burn can play left back as well. Do you know what I mean? But we have got a solid back line. A solid back line. But Nick Pope's making a difference as well. I fancy a 3-0 Newcastle win. Sorry, Craig.
No, that's all right, mate. That's all right. Eddie is very, very attacking. Under Scott Parker, I would say, yeah, I'd agree with you completely because Parker likes to sit back and, against Liverpool, that was the problem, was we weren't pressing them at all. We weren't actually putting them under any pressure. We wasn't doing anything to move forwards at all. Gary O'Neill's brought it back to the Eddie Howe philosophy, or that's how it feels like, especially in that second half against Forest. So I'm going to do something that I haven't done for a while. I will predict that we're going to win. I don't know. That's probably more from the heart than the head. But I reckon it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I will go for a 4-3 Bournemouth win because it's going to be two managers that are going to be going for it.
You could be right. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think if that is the case, I was entertaining football. It's just a shame I can't go on Saturday because I've got to work that day. But I'm doing the warm-up show. And, I hope you're wrong, but I'm willing surprises there, man. But I feel confident we're going to win this game. I don't think we see 4 goals, mate. I cannot honestly see us see the 4 goals because our backline is really good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, John. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you again, as always. Do tell everybody, I'm going to make you full screen for this, John, so no pressure, but do tell everybody where they can find you, mate.
Okay, thank you for having us on, Craig, and also Bournemouth fans. You've been fantastic to us as well. You can find us on John Sinclair TV on Facebook, on Twitter. You can also find us on Twitch as well. Also, you can find us on Insta, John Sinclair 50 or lower cases. And if you're on social media on Twitter, it's John_NUFC 42. And I will follow you back as well. One thing I will say as well, please hit the likes, hit the subscribe button as well. And I've got over 3,000 subscribers. Thank you so much indeed. I've had 700 new ones in the past month or so. So thank you so much indeed. Also, please hit the likes, hit subscribe, and I'll do some good channels for you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, John. And like John says, all the links to John's social media will be in the description below. So yeah, please do follow John on everything because you are a good friend of this channel and it's a pleasure to have you on again, mate.
Thank you very much indeed, Craig Anders on me. And hopefully be back on your show very, very soon.
Yep, definitely. You're always welcome on here, mate.
Thank you very much.
Take care, mate.
Take
Thank
care,
you so
Duff.
much.
You too.
And thank you, everybody, for joining me on this opposition preview show. Please do remember to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell button below to be alerted to any new videos we do here on Up the Cherries in all departments. Please do also remember to check out our recent interviews. We had Carlton Palmer come on the show on Wednesday, so you should be watching this shortly after that. Also, we do have more special guests that are coming up. I've got to keep that a little bit quiet, though. So I cannot reveal any more for this moment in time, but it's an exciting one. Until the next show, up the cherries, and I'll speak to you then.